Welcome back guys. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about class component lifecycle methods. In React, there are many lifecycle methods present for class component, but we will use only two lifecycle method in majority scenarios. So that's why we are going to discuss only two lifecycle methods. They are component did mount and component will mount. So before discussing this lifecycle method, first we should know what is a lifecycle method. So here there is a definition for lifecycle method. Each component in React has a lifecycle which you can monitor and manipulate. Here the lifecycle method is a function which we will create but we cannot call them. The React compiler will call that methods automatically depending upon their preference. So first component lifecycle method is component did mount. First we will see the definition of it. The component did mount method is called after the component render. So if you create component did mount method in any class component in the React.js application, it will be called automatically by the React compiler whenever the component is rendered. So after the component is rendered, this method will be called automatically by the React compiler. So this is the use of component lifecycle method in React.js. So the second method is component will mount method. It is also similar to the component did mount method. The only difference between these two is component did mount method is called after the component is rendered and the component will mount method is called before the component is rendered. Now we are going to see these two methods practically. Here you can see the Visual Studio Code is open. I have created a new project for this component lifecycle method with the name lifecycle. Here you can see a new folder is created in the React projects folder. The folder name is lifecycle. Click here to expand it. So in this we have to change the content in app.js first. So I will remove the default content in app.js. Sorry. I will write simple one h1 tag. h1 lifecycle methods in React class components. Now we will execute this project. First we should navigate into this lifecycle folder. So to navigate into lifecycle folder, we have to write cd lifecycle. Now we have to execute it using the command npm start. Here you can see the project executed successfully. Now I will open Google Chrome. So in this I will write the localhost 3000. Here you can see we got the output lifecycle methods in React class components. Sorry, yes, this is better. So now we are going to see the first lifecycle method, which is component will mount. So we will see the first lifecycle method. So first we need to create one class component because lifecycle methods are supported in only class components. They are not supported in functional components. That's why we need to create a class component with the name cc.js. cc stands for class components. So here I will write the import statement first. Import React, component from React. After that you have to create the class followed by the class name, extends React.component. In this we have to write the render method. In that render method we have to return the HTML content. Here I will return the h1 tag in the div. h1, this is class component. Now we have created the class component. Now we need to export it. Export default cc. After exporting, we have to import that in app.js component. Import cc from /cc. Now we have to add the CC component in the div of app.js. Less than symbol followed by the component name slash followed by the greater than symbol. Now let's see the output whether the class component is added successfully or not. Here we are getting an error. .cc doesn't match a default export. So here we got an error in class component. Let's see the error. Here we have not saved this export default cc, that's why it is raising error. We will save it. Here you can see the error has gone. Now let's see the output in Google Chrome. Here you can see the class component is created successfully. Now we will implement the first component lifecycle method, component will mount. Before writing the component will mount method, I will create the state in class component. So constructor, in then constructor I will write the super method. Afterwards I will create the this.state object equal to, I will create a variable with the name number. I will initialize this number with the value 0. Now we have to use this number variable in HTML content of the CC component. I will create one h1 tag. I will write the text as the declared number is, we have to use that variable using the curly braces, this dot state dot number. Now let's see the output whether the number is added or not. Here you can see we got the number, the declared number is 0. Now I want to change this number without writing any function. So here there is no function to change that number, there is no set state method in any function. Now we have to create the component lifecycle method, which will be called automatically by the React compiler whenever the component is rendered. Now I will create the method. So after the constructor we have to create the method component will mount. So this is the method which is called before the component renders. So here I will write the definition here. First I will write simple alert whether this is working or not. In this I will write the message component will mount is called. Component will mount is called. Now let's see the output. If you see here, the alert came automatically. We have not called this component will mount method. It is called by the React compiler automatically. That's why we are getting this alert pop-up while rendering the component. If you click OK, here we can see the HTML content. So here we are getting the lifecycle method component will mount before the component is rendered. Now we have to change this content using that component will mount method. So I will write the set state method in this instead of alert. Set state. So I want to change this number value from 0 to 1 using this component will mount method. So here this set state method accepts one object. In that we have to write the key. Here the key is number and I want to change the value to 1. Now let's see the output. The output must be the declared number is 1 because in the component lifecycle method we have changed the initialized value number 0 to 1. Now let's see the output. If the output is 1, our program is correct. Here you can see the output is 1. The declared number is 1. Initially the value is 0. But in component will mount method we have changed the value from 0 to 1. Here we are not calling this component method. If you observe here, if you observe the code, we are not calling here. The component will mount method will be called automatically by the React compiler whenever the component is rendered. So this is the use of lifecycle method. We need not to call them, it will be called automatically by their preference. Here the preference for this component will mount method is the component re-rendering. Whenever the component is re-rendered, it will be called automatically and what are the statements in this definition, component will mount definition will be executed. Now we are going to discuss the second component lifecycle method which is called as component did mount. It is also related to the component will mount only, but the only difference is it will be called after the component will mount execution. So first component will mount method will execute, after this the component did mount method will execute. Now I will write the component did mount. component did mount. In this I will write the alert. This is component did mount. In this I will write the alert component will mount, alert component will mount. Now let's see the output, which method is executing first and which method is executing second. Here you can see we got the output component will mount method is executing before the component did mount. If you press OK, then the component did mount method will be executed. So I will press OK. Here you can see the output is component did mount method. So here the first method executing is component will mount and the second method executing is component did mount. If you press OK, then the component will be rendered. Here you can see the component is rendered. So before the component rendering, the lifecycle methods will execute. So this is the use of lifecycle method in class components. Thank you.